This is step 4, adding details to the trees, and then I'll add details to the birds. So I'm just adding light strokes of raw umber with this filbert brush, size 16, and then I've already added it to the branches. Oh, not there yet, but and then I just slightly brush it in so you can see it gives a nice effect to the layer underneath. So it's not as smooth. Those trees have so many different layers and appearances. They can be smooth bark, they can be rough, they can be peeling. There's no particular tree that this is meant to represent. It's just some generic tree that grows in the north. And just adding more layers of colour makes it more interesting. While the trees are dry, I'm going to start adding some feathers to the birds, and trying to see the diagram underneath. I had a definite plan for where each layer would go. You can't really see much of the markings there. I'm using a thin, round brush, size 3. Would have preferred a filbert, but I don't have one this size that's working. So what I'll do is I'll just start around the collar and add little layers like that. So there will be some yellow shining through, and also that's where I'll add in the brown. So they'll be brown and yellow together. And I'll use the raw umber because it's such a nice dark brown, and that seems to be the colour that they have in varying degrees. Sometimes it looks a bit like raw umber, or with a bit of burnt sienna even. So you could add the feathers this way. There are many different ways to add feathers. But for now, this is working for me. Step 4, continuing. This is I've painted the first layer of the white feathers with this little brush. It really is working nicely, but it does mean you have to do it brush stroke by brush stroke. There's no shortcuts if you want it to look like a really nice bird. And so the first layer is white, the head is too big, that's going to go away. The heads seem to be quite flat. This one seems good, but I can't get too close to the eyes right now. That brown is still wet. So I'll start with this one. And also the feet are, you're not going to see the feet very much because they are covered in feathers, and the claws will be tucked away before this one lands. This one's claws might be visible, though I don't think they were really. So again, I'll just do a little bit on his head and not get too close to the eyes. And then I'll kind of shape the face a little bit. Get rid of some of that beak because it's too high up. And I'll make the feathers coming down from the collar here. And so I'll continue, and I'll show you more when there's more to see. I carried on adding white all over, and then I added a bit of the raw umber mixed with white just to form some shadows under the wings. And it hasn't had much time to dry yet. It's the same day. But I've added more white around the sky just to have a softer effect, sort of a cloudy, hazy sky, just with a bit of blue around this bird's head. And now I'm going to add in little bits of tips of the wings here and there in the raw umber. But it will require another layer of white. It's definitely not enough. There's a lot of yellow still showing through. And they aren't exactly these patterns, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's so many variations in the different birds. Okay, if you start blending, then it's just going to be another shadow, so I won't do that. And this bird has got more brown in his wings than this one. Maybe because he's flying, can see more. I've added in the brown to both the owls, and I've even added the white around their eyes, and a little bit of brown on this one's head. Still need to add a lot more white to both of them, but I will wait for that. In the meantime, I've added some white to the trees to have snow on the trees, and I just added it with this filbert brush in a slight, soft movement. And now I think I'll just like a feathery movement, blend it in like that, so it's not so obviously deliberately placed. But this paint is quite dry, even though I added the brown today. And if that doesn't look right, then I'll see what else I can do. But I don't want to overwork the painting, and I don't want to add more trees. I blended this background with the sky, and I thought I could add something in there, but then I thought, no, it's just going to clutter it up. It should be clear and simple. That's how I really like my paintings visually. It's easier to just look at. I didn't like the effect of the snow that I put on the trees, so I just blurred it all away with a paintbrush, and then I added just little lumps of white here and there, and well, not thick lumps, just on the edges, and then I blurred them down a little, just here and there, not all over, and I think that gives a better snowy effect. And I did the same in the clouds, just to make it look like the clouds are full of snow dropping down, and snow in the background. And now I'm going to add the feathers, and for this I'm going to pick up the canvas and put it on my lap. It will be easier for me to see what I'm doing. But essentially, as you can see, the white and the raw umber and the yellow have formed a nice background, and now I can just lay down feathers in the spaces where I see there is space, and so the brush will be pointing down, and some of these might overlap, but not all, because I will leave some of what's underneath still shining through. I do want a more realistic looking bird, so he's not one bland white. I've never seen a snowy owl up close, but even from photos I can see that they're not one bland white shade. Okay, so the brush is splaying out, and I'm going to pick up the canvas now. As you can see, I've covered this owl quite well, and I brought the paint over the edges of the sort of yellow outline background, and that helped to give the feathery effect around the edges, and also in these tail feathers, just bringing them over the edge, and also in the feet, the claws, which are very well covered with feathers. And so the feathers are not all going in the same direction. Those are going down that way, those go that way, and so on and so on. And the yellow shines through, and I've covered with bits of the brown that were too thick. So this is the final refinement, I would say. I don't think I'll need to do anything more on that bird. And now I'll start on this bird. I'll start with his head, which needed to be a little bit rounder, not quite so flat there. Just with the feathers coming forward into those browny bits. And also it gave me a chance to refine the face and the beak and the eyes. Just a little bit. Yeah. That looks better. So this is how I'll continue, and I'll bring you back when it's all done. So I'm trying not to paint, well, no, let's start again. I'm not painting feathers by trying to shape a feather. I'm just putting the brush down lightly and pulling it backwards. And that's because these feathers are going, in the direction the bird is flying in. And so they'll be in a different direction to those underneath him. And this way I can cover over the brown where it's too thick, but leave enough to make the shadow where I need it, and the yellow peeping through, and at the same time create a nice layered feathery look. So these are two wings here, one over the other, and so that does it for that direction. And I'll just leave a few again coming over the edges, just slightly. And then it looks quite well covered. I mean, it might, when it's dry, I might see that it needs a bit more, but that one looks well covered. I don't want to cover all the yellow, just here and there. And then these feathers are sort of facing downwards under his belly. Those again will be facing that way. I carried on adding the white to the feathers of this top bird, and I like the effect. And I added some more snow in the background here. Now I'm just going to add a last touch of highlights of white to the tops of his wings, slightly more defined than the rest. And my white's not entirely pure white, there's a bit of a mixture of colours on my canvas, but just to separate those two wings and this lower one. And then I think that's about it. I will have to blur those a little bit. I don't want them sticking up like that. And then a little on his head. That's quite enough. Yep, so that's about it. I think I need to blur that away a bit. So he's kind of blurring into the clouds around him. And now I'm happy, so I will just lightly brush that down with the brush. I mean, it could look nice if you like texture to just leave it like that, but I don't. That looks better. I'll take a photo and let's end of Snowy Owls. I think it's a very cute bird, and I think I'll paint more of them in the future. They definitely are a subject for a lovely painting. So thank you for watching, and please like and comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you liked about the painting, what you think I should do differently, or what you'd like to see. I'd appreciate all feedback. Bye for now.